to welcome you all to the 23rd Assembly District and to Cumberland Elementary in Whitefish Bay. This school is District Administrator Dr. John Thompson, Principal Jane Heffron, and the members of the Whitefish Bay School Board in Whitefish Bay Schools as a parent, as a volunteer, and I served as PTO president, and my time here inspired me to go back to school and to become a teacher myself. When I decided to run for office, I was working as a substitute teacher here at Cumberland. At the time, I told Principal Heffron that after the election, I would be sure to come back to visit. Little did I know that I would be bringing the governor of Wisconsin with me. Before we begin our program, who have joined us today. Member of the Joint Finance Committee, Senator LaTanya Johnson, Senator John Erpenbach, Representative Don Ruink, and Representative Sandy Pope. To introduce to you the Governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers.
Thank you, Dad. Good morning, everybody. Great to be here at Cumberland Elementary School, and thanks for joining us, all of you, especially the students. Thank you. 2 years ago, I was proud to sign. We made making healthcare more affordable. It's best for our kids by working to fully fund our public historic investments were made in the last biennial budget. Our state, unfortunately, challenges as we face COVID-19, one of the worst public health crises in the century. And we have worked hard around and safe and put our state and our cover response to the pandemic, providing hundreds of millions of dollars in support to small, and that work still continues today. We worked hard making Wisconsin one of the best states in the country for getting available shots in arms to ensure that folks could get back to business and our economy could recover. Our unemployment rate is among the lowest in the country and has nearly very close to what it was pre-pandemic. These efforts, both our state's response to the public health crisis and our efforts to stabilize our economy, has been. Today, we anticipate having a $2.39 billion general fund surplus as we start the new fiscal year, which will be the largest. Because we made those critical decisions to get our state in the best position to recover, we were able to propose bold solutions to address the urgent crisis that we faced. I proposed in my 2021 budget, or 21-23 budget, our Badger Bounce Back agenda, providing a blueprint to not only get our economy back on track to normal, but to ensure that we could bounce back better. There's much to be said about areas where this budget fails to deliver on the support Wisconsinites need after facing a severe economic crisis like we had this last year. I said when I delivered my budget address last February that there would be those who would give us, frankly, choice between making healthcare more accessible and affordable and saving hard-earned tax dollars, between fully funding our schools and cutting taxes at the same time, small businesses and protecting our natural resources and investing in new clean jobs, between spending our means while still supporting Wisconsinites who need to help recovering. In many ways, this budget presents a false choice between the priorities the people of the state care about and deserve. But after 8 long years of politicians making decisions for all the wrong reasons, I ran to be governor of this state and promised I would always put people before politics, that I would always try to do the right thing, and that I would work to find common ground, and that I would make decisions based on what's best for kids and our state. That's a promise I intend to keep as long as I'm governor of the great state of Wisconsin. It's also among the reasons why veto was not an option. So this morning, I exercised that was sent to me, and I am signing Assembly Bill 68, making it Wisconsin Act 58. With 2019 Assembly Bill Act 10, $1 million in individual income tax relief through income tax reductions targeting lower and middle class earners. Then the first bill I signed in this biennium, 2021 Act Wisconsin, $8 million in tax relief for Wisconsin businesses and families affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So even before the 2021-23 budget, I signed into law 2 relative tax. I also made another promise when I ran for governor. I promised that I would cut taxes for middle-class families by 10%. Today, I'm keeping my word. This morning, I'm signing one of the largest tax. The bipartisan budget, along with prior reductions, not only delivers on my promise to cut taxes for middle-class families by 10%, I'm cutting middle-class income taxes by 15%. $2 billion in individual income tax annually going forward. And I'm newly 1.6 million Wisconsin families across our state need it the most. When combined with prior reductions, 2.4 million filers will be receiving tax relief in Wisconsin. Introduce April Calvert to talk about helping folks across our state continuing to bounce back from this pandemic. April?
As a small business owner, this tax relief is important. Money in their pockets, which I hope a local small business such as myself, and also save for the future. This is really big for myself as an individual and the tax relief, and I will. So thank you, Governor, for that, and I would like to introduce Secretary Burka.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm so proud. So many key legislators and all of you here at the Cumberland School. Governor was to provide tax relief for hardworking citizens of this state. And today I can safely say that the governor campaign, since he not only achieved it, he crushed it. So secondly, I want to say that virtually all Wisconsin taxpayers have achieved this goal. As the governor indicated, $2 billion. And we did not arrive here by accident. Make no mistake, management of careful decision making at the beginning and throughout the pandemic. Wisconsin. Part of the reason I say that is if our economists from DOR must be healthy for the economy to be healthy. So very, very important, and I want to emphasize that the governor stresses repeatedly in terms of the tax rate structure, beginning in 2021, third bracket from 6.27% to 5.3% that the governor had helped to achieve during the first 2 years of his biennium, whereby passing the second rate, he split it by 50% in order to reduce those rates. Success for the middle class and those struggling to get there. Secondly, I want to say for 99% of all Wisconsin taxpayers, they'll see that 10% cut. The governor, he wanted to provide tax relief for all Wisconsin residents, but he wanted the emphasis to be, as he campaigned on the middle class and which we and Department of Workforce Development identify as $61,000. They'll see a tax break of $488 in this tax year and about $975 over the next 2 years. For the average household of they'll see $683, or over the 2 years, $1,365. So this is significant tax relief. It's very important in this bill, and that's it. The governor also achieved the 2/3 funding of schools. It's also important for property taxpayers, and that's why I think accomplishments that we're going to hear about. So thank you very much, and great to be with you. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much, Secretary Barca. And now, folks, when I said investing in our schools and cutting taxes are not mutually here today. I'm proud to be the education governor, and I believe, as I've always said, what's best for our kids is best for our state. So, education. I'm proud that after providing several opportunities to members of the legislature have decided to join me in restoring our state's commitment to 2/3 funding for our schools, and we will finally be hitting that mark. Decades. This budget also provides roughly $685 million. I'm proud that during my time as governor, we have worked to reverse the course of 8 years of cuts and underfunding to education, school mental health, sparsity aid, and transportation costs. Why vetoing this budget was frankly out of question for me. At the end of the day, vetoing this budget in its entirety, those investments that I just mentioned, but also likely causing our in federal funds when they need it the most. Moreover, leaving $2.3 billion up to chance that Republicans, who took nearly 300 days to pass a COVID-19, would come in and pass a meaningful budget in a timely fashion that was a risk that I frankly wasn't willing to take. This budget, Republicans could and should have done more. And while they may be across the state to go to referenda just to support their public schools, I am not. Our schools and our students have faced unprecedented from distance money that had been budgeted for pencils, instead buying PPE. I've been working every day to find a way to get the yes for our kids in our schools because that's what they deserve. Elected officials. When I signed my first biennial budget, I used my broad veto authority to provide nearly $100 million more per pupil aid. Have worked since that time to prevent me from being able to use the same authority this time. Politics hasn't stopped me from doing what today. That's why today I'm announcing I'm investing more than $100 million in federal funds to our kids and our public schools. We'll be able to use these funds to support kids in the classroom, higher education, or mental health supports, buy art supplies, provide a great education. Here's the bottom line. This investment is a critical step to continue to recover, but support our kids and our schools if we want that economic recovery to continue. So with that, I'm our new superintendent to talk about what this means for our kids and for our schools. Jill?
Everybody, thank you so much. When you think about opportunities, parents want opportunities for their kids. They want what's best for their kids, and that's the framework from which I. Where would we not be for a great education? When you think about elementary through middle and high school, if we're going to thrive as a state. And so we look at the gaps. We frequently talk about the gaps between our wealthiest and our poorest communities, between our students of color, our students with disabilities, and we have to address that. If we're going to be successful, if we want a future filled with opportunities, we have to provide the. This is just the beginning. When you look at early childhood education, we have to invest in kids on the front end if we want to be successful and provide those opportunities on the back end. When we look at the teachers leaving the profession in droves, where will that leave us if we don't have the best and brightest in front of our kids every day? So, and doing what's best for them.
Thank you, Super. We were able to make some progress in several key areas here, from broadband expansion to continuing our service members. The biggest problems with the budget are not the things that need to be removed by a stroke of a pen, but rather the work the legislature has left undone, from working towards reforming our justice system to protecting the right of every person to vote, to investing in equity, among other areas. And leave resources available to ensure that the unfinished business can be addressed, including meaningful in our kids and our schools. This budget leaves much unfinished to do. In the coming weeks and months, I will continue to engage the legislature to further invest in these priorities, and I hope the legislature will join me in this important work so that we can continue recovery. So with that, I will 23 biennial budget, making it Any of your kids use grade a 7 like that? Eight. There we go, folks. Signed and delivered. Hand out some pens here for you. We'll get to the adults later. Whole bunch of them. There's more. Nathan, good to see you. Thanks for being here. All the students taken care of here. I signed the budget. Simple as that. I could have promised to the taxpayers of the state that we would reduce middle class taxes by 10%, and we did 15%. So it is a there's an increase in several of the categorical aids which go beyond the revenue limit. Health, whether it's issues around transportation and so on, but the $100 million is outside of the revenue. That's the federal money. Yes, that will be outside the revenue limits also. You know, that's ridiculous. They talk about all the federal. They show this. I saw a graph that was just absolutely ridiculous with all the work that. And this year, input is all this federal money that they're taking credit. It's ridiculous. They could have. In the state coffers that can be used for schools and other issues. So I'm working through this instead of just going home and spending the rest. There's work to be done for these kids. There's work to be done around criminal justice reform. The money is still there. No. That is from the federal money. Yes. Yeah. We $100 million for our schools, and we succeeded. No strings attached on this. Oh, absolutely. The Supreme Court to partial veto the budget. There's no, those decisions played a huge role in this. That bill will be vetoed. Yes. It just said it's a bad bill. We anticipate the legislature coming back in session. Tax issue, but it is not a clean the people of Wisconsin. So I'm hopeful that they'll come back in session and do it. Well, they didn't deal with costs out of state is taxable. Where does that money we're having problems, we had problems with it. Peter, did you have anything else to say on that?
I can just add that the last time that the legislature enacted changes to the personal property taxes, it was under Governor Walker, and my predecessor, Governor Chandler, had a very difficult time, was sued successfully, and that's why it's important to avoid litigation. There's also issues regarding utilities, railroads, and many other issues that municipalities care deeply about because it could affect their budget as well. So
Right.
I'm so glad the governor did the prudent
Yeah.
thing. He kept the money in the budget so that if we can do it right, we can fund it.
Right. We're going to veto the bill. The money's still in the budget. Let's fix it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.